we have real world research that psychiatrists are interested in seeing. And we're doing this in primary care, but we intentionally go to specialists like the psychiatrist or the allergist and immunologist, and we present our real world data to get their acceptance in our approach in how we're managing these conditions in the non-specialist setting.
Welcome back, everybody, and thanks so much for joining us here on our YouTube channel for smallcapvoice.com and our online business briefing, where we shine a spotlight on some of the smartest and freshest plays out there in the market today. And today, for the very first time, we're going to be speaking to QHS Lab Incorporated. They're traded on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol USAQ. I want you to bring up a press release really quick. As I always do, I want you to have the news open. I'd love you to visit their website, but let me give you a dateline really quick. November 14th. Here's the headline. QHS Lab Incorporated reports record Q3 2024 revenues reflecting accelerated expansion in digital health and allergy diagnostics. With that, let's welcome onto the show the president and CEO of the company, and that's Troy Grogan. Troy, welcome to the show, and thanks so much for making time for us.
Hey, it's great to be with you, Stuart. Thanks for taking some time with me.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a wonderful time for us to be speaking with you for the very first time with this news and some other great news that just hit the press wire, hitting the wires. Let's talk about this news. Let's get it from the CEO's perspective. As I mentioned, you're the president and CEO of the company. As a leader, as someone driving some of the drivers and the verticals that your company's involved in, to see multiple different pressure points for your company accelerate in this recent financial, I should say, report has to be very rewarding to you. I'm looking at the subheadlines. Revenue source 62%, integrated service program revenue up 143%, net income of $50,000 roughly for the quarter reflects operational efficiencies and strategic focus. And I should point out, before we jump in those, we're actually going to have a couple of interviews with your company, and we're also going to be speaking to Dr. Marcos Sanchez Gonzalez. He's the new VP of Medical and Scientific Affairs for your company. And so that's coming up, and we're going to learn more about the applications and different areas that you're focusing on. But again, as the president and CEO, let's dive into these terrific numbers.
Yeah, thanks for that great intro. I mean, over the last couple of years, we've just been working away on our fundamentals, growing the business, block and tackle, if you like. And now really it's time to start communicating out there to the broader audience about these numbers that we're showing. Like, we are a digital medicine point of care technology company, so we're in a very broad and vast space of primary care. And but at the same time, you've got to focus on niche type of activities. And just to point out some of those high level numbers you talked about. So at the end of 2023, we posted a $1.4 million revenue for that year, with a net loss at that time of $240,000. This year, that press release you just quoted, at the 9-month ending September 30, we have a $1.5 million revenue, so up 40%. Gross margins north of 60%, and we now, as you say, reported a net income, not an EBITDA positive, but actually a net income, a GAAP assessed net income of $40,000. So we're certainly heading in the right direction. And we even started making some significant contributions towards our short-term debt, which is certainly something that we're focused on looking after our balance sheet going into 2025. And we're in a very good position. Fundamentally, we're in a good position to grow. So looking forward to the series of interviews and making people aware of the company, our opportunity, the growth space, some of the catalysts that we have over the last 9 months as well. So yeah, very much looking forward to the communications.
Yeah, absolutely. We love it when a company wants to come on and be transparent about the drivers within the verticals. And we're going to break down some of these verticals in just a moment. But viewers, listeners, go to QHSLab.com. Using that ticker symbol again, USAQ, you can pull up the press release we're speaking about. I gave that dateline out. There's more news about the company, and I want to jump on some of that. But Troy, let's take one quick step back. You're our guest today. Let's learn a little bit about you and your background and what brought you here.
Yeah, I guess prior to the last 3 or 4 years, Just working with QHS Lab. I originally from Sydney, Australia. My background is in public health and health promotion and healthcare technology. Back in the mid 2000s, before we had cloud computing and iPhones and things like that, I was a pioneer in Australia in workplace health promotion and general practitioner education using some of the early digital health technologies we had available at that time. Fast forward into 2020 post COVID, and it was then the right time to take a virtual care, digital medicine, plus our brick and mortar allergy diagnostics and allergy immunotherapy system into the public domain. And so, with that said, our management team around me, we have a strong team of scientific and medical advisors that are always contributing into the work that we're doing. You mentioned Dr. Marco Sanchez Gonzalez. He's our full-time medical and scientific VP of Medical and Scientific Affairs. He's an academic, but he's also an MD, PhD, so he knows what it's like to deal with the patient-facing environment as well. Our VP of Business Development, Jesus Davila, comes with a strong pedigree in the health insurance background as a director of sales for WellCare prior to joining our team. In Australian terms or in boxing terms, we punch above our weight. So we have a small team, but all of our members have been with us from inception. It's a great thing to have that in a small team, that everyone's working together, pulling together, and we can certainly see some blue sky coming into 2025.
Well, we're going to touch on that blue sky in just a minute, but what a huge validation you just pointed out. Your team has been with you since inception. That's unheard of in the small and micro cap space. And like you said, you may be in the small and micro cap space, but I love that you punch above your weight. So you are actually operating a lot more like a mid cap. And I think that's wonderful by retaining management that way. Obviously, there's a huge amount of belief amongst the team on what you're doing and how you're doing it. And another validation of that just hit the press wire today, November 25th, 2024, hit the headline here. QHS Lab Incorporated marks major achievements in digital health innovation, research recognition, and revenue growth in 2024. And this press release really does an excellent job of kind of giving the foundation that you have established here in 2024. Revenue growth and APA recognition drive momentum for QHS Lab in 2024. That is the subheadline. Troy, your thoughts on this press release before I give you my thoughts on it. Go ahead, Troy.
Well, there's three things here. The APA, that's the American Psychiatric Association. And as a small but growing public company, we fundamentally understand the need for the validation of real-world research using our data that we're collecting from over 100,000 completed assessments over the last few years. We've actually grown by 50,000 100% growth in assessments for calendar year 2024 from where we begun at the start of the year. So we only had like 50,000 completed assessments at the beginning of the year. An assessment, just so I step back, it's a digital tool. It's happening we send that to patients prior to them seeing their doctor. It's going to assess things like allergies and anxiety and depression and chronic pain and a multitude of things. It helps the doctor understand exactly what's going on with their patient prior to or during an office visit. It's reimbursable in primary care, so that's part of the business model. I'm sure we'll get to that in a second. But what the American Psychiatric Association paper that we submitted and were successful in getting a position to present at this conference validates is that we have real-world research that psychiatrists are interested in seeing. And we're doing this in primary care, but we intentionally go to specialists like the psychiatrist or the allergist and immunologist, and we present our real-world data to get their acceptance in our approach in how we're managing these conditions in the non-specialist setting. Number two, we posted a press release. We got a collaborative study with a global leader in OTC medications. Any Walgreens or CVS or here in Florida, Publix store that you walk down that aisle, that OTC aisle, This particular company is a very well-known household brand name, and they provided us with a $300,000 study grant to look at the digital medicine and allergic rhinitis control. And we met, part of this press release was to say that we met milestone number 2. Milestone 1 was getting approval, IRB approval, and the clinicalgov.gov FDA registration. Milestone 2 was we started recruiting real participants. So the trial is underway. It is a 12-month study. We believe that at month 3 and month 6 and month 9, there'll be really cool information to start sharing about this study and how it progresses. So from a catalyst point of view, that's taking us out of our current fundamental business, which is in the point of care GP office, primary care office. And we now got an opportunity to start looking at maybe OTC and direct to consumer through a major global channel as well. And the third point was, which I'm proud to say, is when we look at the October 2024 numbers, they're unaudited, but they've gone through our accounting and management review, and we're up 110% from the same time we were last year. So we've generated about $225,000 of income in the month of October, which shares, on an annualized run rate, about a $2.7 million annualized run rate. So where things are looking good coming into the end of the year. Normally it's quiet during the holiday period for healthcare in particular. So we're proud to say that we're on track entering the new year.
Well, proud to be speaking with you today, Troy, and that does give us a nice foundation into looking forward. But if you'd like right now, for those who aren't familiar with your company, let's take another step back. Macro, 10,000-foot view of who USAQ who you are as a company and the verticals that you want to tap into 2025. And that's going to foreshadow my next question about some of the operational goals for your company. But you've mentioned a couple of things, and within your press releases, we can see there's a couple of different verticals that you're attacking, from the allergy side, from the assessment side. Talk to us about what are your specific focuses moving forward.
Yeah, so from a general high-level point of view, we are focused on the primary care business, the primary care setting, in particular, independent primary care doctors, for which there's like 500,000 in the United States. Almost, half of all doctors fit into this category. And we've picked independent as opposed to hospital systems or university type health systems on purpose, because we can get in and talk to the independent doctors. A lot of doctors own their own practice, or they're a part of a group and they've got managers that we can get in and speak to. With limited resources, you've got to target and use those resources wisely. Now, and again, broadly, we look at quality of life impacting conditions. So allergy, anxiety, depression, chronic pain. And those things, they're the things that when you get up in the morning, you say, I'm going to have a bad day, my back hurts, or you walk outside and you sneeze and you go, oh, geez, my allergies are causing trouble. I'm not going to be able to function as well. So if we can help primary care doctors address these quality of life impacting conditions, then they're going to be better at managing diabetes or hypertension or cholesterol or things that, really start costing the system. I mean, quality of life impacts productivity. And so that's where we're at. Now, we have two main segments, and these might seem to the first listener as separate, but really they're combined. And that is, we have our allergy point of care allergy testing and allergy treatment for the non-specialists. We call that allergy end. And that is just like you would go over to an allergist and get a skin prick test for dust mites or cat or dog. And if you were positive and Flonase wasn't working, then you would get shots. Now, we've designed a whole system and method for the general practice as opposed to referring that patient out. And that produces a new revenue stream for that general practice as well. Now, because the general practice sees so many different conditions, they're managing the whole patient, we've designed the QHS Lab platform to help universally screen total population to identify who has allergies that are not under control, that are seeking help. And so that's the link, that's the bundle, which we spent all of 2023 doing, was creating this connection between the point of care allergy testing and allergy treatment, and then the universal health screening QHS lab system. But it goes beyond allergy. Like I said, anxiety, depression, chronic pain, sleep management. And then we have what we call our health journeys, which are applications, microventions, interventions that go to patients outside of the doctor's office to provide self-management instruction, patient education. And all of these things, in many cases, are reimbursed by Medicare, commercial insurance, Medicaid in certain states as well. So there's a business aspect for the practice to help their patients with chronic conditions, quality of life, satisfaction with care, but also the bottom line for the medical practice. And so they're our two verticals. We started off very strong with our allergy business. Now they're starting to come together, and you'll see as you follow the company, our ISP, our integrated service program segment, which is reported as a line item in our financials, has very strong growth, and we see that as a catalyst, to be a big part of the growth and going forward of QHS Lab.
Well, I think the quote here in the recent news from Dr. Sanchez Gonzalez really talks about the impact that you're having on these providers. And in the current state of the healthcare, let's just say entire landscape, I think specialists like yourselves can really help and assist in taking numbers to the bottom line. And let's be honest, it's about the care of the patient, but you cannot have exceptional care if you do not have a strong, savvy business model. And that's where your company comes in and assists. And here's that quote: "These achievements reinforce the efficacy of QHS Lab's solutions and their potential to address critical challenges in healthcare." And we know we have critical challenges in our healthcare, so we need specialists like QHS Labs to come in and assist. Through our research and product innovation, we are charting a course to revolutionize care in both mental health and chronic conditions. You talked about the bundling of that in 2023. So now let me hit you with what's going to happen here in 2025. As the president and CEO, operationally speaking, what would you like to see the company be able to achieve in 2025?
There's kind of three levels. There's the block and tackle. There's taking the fundamentals of what we've learned in 2024. It's increasing the exposure we have now that we're very confident in our system, and doing a lot of, as I say, block and tackle. So going to medical conferences, one as a speaker with authority and credibility, being accepted to speak. Dr. Sanchez was just last month. We were at the Allergy and Immunology Conference in Boston, their national event, and we presented two posters. The American Psychiatric Society next year, we've got two posters going out there. But at the same time, then having the traditional booth where the doctors walk by, they see the key messages about QHS Lab, and we start talking to them. That brings doctors in a traditional sense into our pipeline. We're going to increase our headcount of sales. Right now, we only have two seasoned, full-time salespeople. We need to double and triple those numbers with the cash flow that we're starting to generate. Move broadly outside of the Southeast. We've still got a lot of work to do here in the Southeast of Florida, but moving to the Northeast and into Texas, and pick strategic markets. So that's our fundamental block and tackle. At the same time, we are, as I mentioned, we're moving forward with this collaborative study with this global healthcare company, and that could very swiftly transpire into taking our digital medicine into that mainstream over-the-counter alignment. You imagine walking down that aisle and picking up your favorite nasal spray that helps with your allergy, and seeing a QR code on it that says, click here to help with your self-management of your allergy. There you go with the QR code, you click on it, and now you're enrolled into a QHS Lab digital medicine program for allergic rhinitis. That we're very excited about. And then the other part is a strategic relationship. I'll probably soon have something to actually put out there about this one. And it's with another international company that's looking. We see this a lot now where pharmaceutical companies are looking to align with digital medicine companies So it's not only the medication you're taking, but it's the lifestyle that goes along with it, the adherence, the compliance, the changing of thoughts, the exercise, the diet, the sleep management. And so we have a great opportunity to partner with an international company in the allergy space that has about 40 salespeople right now across the United States. So there are two things to look out for in 2025. While meanwhile, we block and tackle and we just keep, growing our sales on a monthly basis.
Well, Troy, we've covered a lot for a first interview, and I still feel like there's so much more to cover. And that's why I'm glad we've got upcoming interviews from other team members. And we'll, of course, be back with you in no time. But, Troy, any closing thoughts or comments before I let you go today?
Watch this space. It's USAQ. That's United States of America, USAQ for quality. And yeah, I can't wait for the next session.
Yeah, and in the meantime, do your due diligence. Hit those comments below. Hit the like and the subscribe button. We'd love to get your questions specifically for this company if you're already an investor in the company. QHSLab.com is the place to learn more about Troy and his amazing team and what they've been able to accomplish so far here in 2024. For Troy Grogan, this is Stuart Smith saying thanks so much for tuning in.